Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Harry from Radio Wilder, or the Internet Radio Man, whichever you like. And I'm here with the White House doctor, Dr. Connie Mariano. And I'd like to give you an introduction, but we've only got about 15, 20 minutes, so I can't spend a long time talking about her because I could take about 2 hours. So I figured I would just borrow some of Bill Clinton's forward in her book, The White House Doctor, and basically give you a bunch of firsts from Connie, and then she's joined us to talk about music, medicine, music in the White House, that kind of stuff. So I don't want to torture her with a bunch of questions, but she is and has been, as the White House doctor, the first woman. She was the director of the White House Medical Unit. She's a rear admiral, physician to the president. In all cases, Connie was the first military woman to become White House physician. First woman this, first woman that, first woman director, first Filipino American in history to become a Navy Rear Admiral. So it's as great of an American success story as you could have. She had 9 years in the White House. I think I remember that the amount of trips that she took was like 130 or something like that from her book. And I'm lucky enough to have Connie take care of me, my wife, and my daughter as our personal physician, so I've gotten to know her, and she's a superhuman besides that. And I asked her to, these are a lot of firsts, but I thought maybe since she'd be the very first interview on the Radio Wilder program, that would probably trump, if you want to use that word, all of her other firsts. But she was very gracious in saying she loves music, and music has a big part in medicine and stuff. So if you just want to share with us anything you want to talk about music, your personal music, what went on, and maybe in the White House or in your life, love to have you take the stage.
Well, thanks, Harry. I am so honored to be on your show, and this is definitely a first because I've never been on your show before. No other White House doctors have that I'm aware of. And it's a tremendous honor. And I think the idea came from one of our meetings. Weren't we talking one time about, you're telling me about all the music you were listening to, and I said, you really should have a radio show.
You absolutely said that, and I was lucky enough to be on your show.
Yeah.
At Christmas last year.
You did a great job. I see music as a form of medicine, that it's therapeutic, that it's personal, it's meaningful to us in many ways. In my personal life, how has music been figured? I wouldn't be here if it weren't for music. And the reason I say that, my father's father's father, so my father's grandfather, the earlier Mariano, his name was Silverio Mariano, emigrated, moved from Cebu, somewhere in the Philippines, an island of Cebu, to the town called Santa Rita in Pampanga, Philippines. He was a band leader back in the late 1800s. He was a band leader at a church, and he was recruited by the town of Santa Rita Parish to be their band leader for their church. And so he and his family moved from that remote island to the main island of Luzon to the town of Santa Rita, which is 2.5 miles north of Manila, where he was the town church's band leader. And that's where my grandfather was born, and he met my grandmother, and then they produced my dad, and so on. So it was because of music. And then growing up, my dad loved music. My dad played the clarinet because all the boys in the family were forced to play a musical instrument. My grandfather had 14 children, 7 from the first wife who died giving birth to the 8th, and 7 from the second set.
Wow,
so
a lot
14, lot of production. But he had, each of the kids was told to play an instrument. So Dad played the clarinet. My mother's father had a Stradivarius violin. So he played the violin. My mother's sister studied music and voice culture in the Philippines. She was a pianist. Being an Asian kid, you're taught to play the musical instruments, usually the piano.
Is that right? It
was a piano. So when I was 7 years old, living in Washington, D.C., went to go visit my friends, and they had a piano, and I wanted a piano too, and I wanted to learn how to play, and I had a big fit with my dad, and we argued all night, and then the next morning he said, okay, I'll buy you a piano, and they bought me an Acrosonic stand-up piano, and I took piano lessons till I was about 19.
No kidding.
So I would play the piano. I don't play anymore. These fingers type. They're more on a laptop
Or
than
they can give a shot
or
if
or
they
do
need it.
prostate exams.
Yes.
But so
Yes.
so
Small fingers, she told me.
Very
That was
small.
her warning to me, too.
and I
at the
warm
same
my
time.
KY jelly. It's the
Yes.
smoothest. I mean, my late husband. That's why he signed up to marry me, because I really gave smooth prostate exams. Nobody prostate exams better than I do. So it was really music was the whole thing. And then I think of music at the White House. What do I think of music? I mean, Bill Clinton played the saxophone. You know, that was very popular. We had music at major events. One of the songs, "Hail to the Chief," right?
Yes.
The beginning song, "Hail to the Chief," they always do the ruffles and flourishes in the beginning, and then they play "Hail to the Chief." And "Hail to the Chief" was composed, I think, under the administration of President Polk, because he was short. He was a short president. And what happened was he would walk into a room and nobody would notice. And his wife, the first lady, got very upset. The president's in the room, nobody even pays attention. So there should be a song to introduce his arrival. So they would play "Hail to the Chief." That's where it came. And then to even make it more embellished, they would do dun da da dun da da da. You know, it's the president. They're playing his song. So that's always that ambiance, the atmosphere of the music, the pomp and circumstance, the Marine Corps band, everything with music. It's part of the production. But I see music as the soundtrack of our life, right? You see your life,
Yes.
the music, you remember where you were.
Everything to me.
As a physician, medicine is therapeutic. They've done studies on nursing homes, on elderly people, where they play music from when they were in the 1940s or 50s, when they were in their early lives. And they revert back to
Is
where
that
they
right?
are emotionally.
When they were younger,
You're a kid again, right? You're a kid again. You relive those memories when you experience the music of those days. You go through that again. And so going through my life, I think of all these different songs that mean something. As you know, my husband John died in July.
Yes.
And July 1st
Big
he died.
Steve Miller fan.
He was a huge Steve Miller fan, but we had very eclectic tastes.
Yep.
A year before he died, in 1 week, we saw Andrea Bocelli in concert here, and we loved Bocelli, and that was that Sunday. And then that Friday, we went to Vegas to see George Strait in concert. We were in the third row. So we're a little bit of everything. He loves ZZ Top, he loved this, and I have all his CDs, and I play it because I feel connected with him.
Yep.
And then in his passing, I know this is woo-woo, he connects with me through music. I swear it, my
believe
medium
it.
swear it. I'll be driving along, and all of a sudden, some song I have not heard in years, Jerry Rafferty, right down the line, played 3 times on one day, a month after he died, when I was feeling really blue. It was like he was talking to me. Absolutely. So music is so much a part of our life, our fiber, that it's therapeutic, it brings back memories, it's part of our ceremony in life, it's every part of our fabric in life is music.
When you won, or when you were, however you become an admiral, and the type of music that they played there, that must have been more than spine tingling for stuff like that. When you've moved up and been in the places that you've done, I mean, as an American, I love America. I love all the songs, the Star Spangled, all the rest of the stuff. That must have been tremendous.
The national anthem.
Because in
You
the
tear
White
up.
House,
Yeah.
you must have gotten them all the time.
You get every ceremony, you'll get the national anthem, obviously ruffles and flourishes. When the president comes into the room, we have entertainment around the world. I remember when President Clinton went to Normandy for a D-Day event, and we got to the American Cemetery, and it's beautiful. I've since visited a year and a half ago with John. We went to Normandy, just the two of us, with a tour. And you're walking on the grounds of the American Cemetery, which is American land. It's owned by, it's American, it's given from the French to the Americans. And all the crosses face home. They face west. They face towards the U.S. It chokes you up. But when we were there with the president, as they're preparing for the event, in the background music over the cemetery, they're playing Glenn Miller. Glenn Miller. And it was haunting, because they're taking you back to all those young boys who were in the ground, who were young and alive before they hit the beach at Normandy.
And didn't Glenn Miller's plane go down in the English Channel?
You know, we lost him there,
I
right?
think
Yeah.
so, yeah.
So
as a
all
great
the
band leader.
Yeah,
Wow, that's
amazing.
eerie.
You know, the people who've lost their lives in music. And personal, Jim Croce, growing up, I love Jim Croce's music. His widow, Ingrid, is a dear friend of mine. When I used to go to San Diego, she used to have a restaurant. I go visit her. and she would come and chat with me and talk with me, and we'd talk about Jim Croce, and she was a chef. She became a chef and had all these great restaurants, and we'd go over and visit. We'd look at his gold records, and we'd talk about his life in music. Isn't that amazing?
It absolutely is. And when I first fell for music, or music became the DNA for me, because I did end up playing music for about 8 or 9 years, drums. I got a little green transistor radio my dad gave me, and I remember the first thing that I can remember of the music was Buddy Holly's Crash. The music died. The day music died, and I never forgot that. And I probably should have brought a little transistor, because Marlene reached out on eBay to try to find, and she found a guy in Philadelphia that it had the original. He was going to throw it his way, but his mother kept it. The same, it looked exactly the same as mine. He kept it for 60 years. The original leather case. He wrote all over this box, "Don't do this, don't drop it, don't do this." He said it still works, the battery, and it just brought so many memories back. I began to talk to some of my rock and roll buddies that are my age, and a couple of them still play, and they all started with the transistor radio. The problem with the transistor radio is the batteries ran out in no time.
Right.
So our parents would send us to bed, and we'd just get down on the pillow and start listening to that music, because I was hooked.
Right.
I had to, and my dad was a musician. My dad was on Ted Mack Amateur. He could play several, and he could actually sing.
Wow.
Very well.
Do you sing?
No, I do not.
Okay.
But my father has been on this program doing a cover with Barbra Streisand. He wasn't singing with Barbra Streisand, but he did it over a musical bed at 55 to see if he could still sing.
Wow.
So that's a treat for Shelley, of course,
Yes.
because this is how
Grandpa.
this is how this show began. So I was going to ask you, when you're in the White House, can you walk around with Beats? Do you go into your room? Or you don't want to act like a teenager running around playing music? And what about the presidents or other people? What do they do?
He can have music, and he can have music in his room, in his office, in the Oval Office. Usually, with Bill Clinton, I can only attest to that. If he wants to listen to music, they have a sound system in there. If he wants to play it and listen to music, a lot of times he doesn't. He's just quietly doing what he needs to do. Up in the actual White House itself, the main house, up on the second floor, the residence, they have music into there, and it has a sound system. So they have a theater for TV and for movies, but in the actual house they do. When he works out on the third floor, there's a workout area, gym, treadmill, elliptical. He can listen, usually headphones. He can listen to that. But it's he usually tunes into music in different ways.
Well, I know that you and I have talked about this, that it can really change your mood.
Oh, yeah.
Music
yeah.
and my daughter is the one that got me to start using music during workouts, and now I love it, because I can sit here and vet a show and be on the bike or take the buds and go down the street and do it. But your mood, you can be in a down mood or off mood or just a neutral mood, and you can put some kind of music on, whether it's your own personal list, or sometimes, like, let's go back to your Jerry Rafferty. When you told me that, I went right home, picked it up, put it on a show 2 or 3 shows later, because I thought, hey, I don't have that guy. I don't have that.
Oh, yeah.
So what I've noticed with the program is, I could ask you, what do you eat? You may not want to tell me. You might, I don't know. I can ask you what kind of music you like. You'll tell me.
Right, they're not going to judge you. They're not going to shame you. It's not low cholesterol, low high carbs.
Nobody ever. I like country.
Yeah.
I like this. I like this person. I like whatever it happens to be. So let's go back to your eclectic. I didn't write it on the show, because before we actually do the show, Connie and I are going to do a podcast once this is over, but I wanted to have her come out and say hi to everybody, and she's such an impressive woman, and I know I wouldn't ask her if I knew she didn't love the music. But how did you come up, why did you come up with the 10 songs that you want played at your going up, I will call it? You said funeral. I have them in front, just in case you forgot what they are.
I call it my final playlist, right?
Okay.
If, because not that I'm controlling. Of course I'm controlling.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like when I pass, what would I like played at my memorial service? Because I don't want, songs that I don't like. And I want things that evoke an emotion and a sentiment, a memory of me. And I had the opportunity to do this with John. When we had a private memorial service, we had a private, his funeral. Came home in a casket, and we cremated him later. it was just for a small number of family members and really his business friends, close friends at the mortuary. I put together his music, which I thought would be meaningful for him in the
you
mood.
did?
And then I
Okay.
thought, well, for me, what would I want so that my kids don't have to worry, oh, gee, what does mom want, right? So I thought, what would be the mood? And these are songs that I've heard over time. I thought, I'd like that played in the opening. I'd like that played in after the blessing. I'd like that played at the recessional. These are things I'd like played for my friends to think of me and think of our relationship and our time in this life that have that meaning to them.
So, actually, I couldn't just put these on. You and I'll do the show. So there's not really shuffle, what I call shuffle, but you actually have
An order.
an order that you like to have it.
Right.
So I didn't do it in order. I just picked them up. So when we're done,
Yeah.
we can change it.
Sure.
You can go and play it. But those of you that can't see, we've got Louis Armstrong, and because you put Louis on there, it made me add a Hello Dolly to one of my shows because it's kind of an eclectic show.
Sure.
She's got the famous "Somewhere Over the Rainbow," which is a golden song for everybody. We love that song.
We love that song.
It's the best.
But it's Izzy singing it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The Hawaiian, the guy who passed away.
A million people sing it, but his is the champion.
Oh, yeah.
And then you have the prayer, which is a beauty done.
And that's a
by-
tearjerker.
Yes, it is.
Celine Dion Bocelli. And when I did his eulogy. You know, I'm sick and tired of doing eulogies. I'll
Yeah.
tell you that. I did my cousin's eulogy a couple of years ago. I got two cousins who've died. One in Qatar, active duty, 16 years ago. Then I did another cousin who died of ovarian cancer 3 years ago. Then I did my mom's, my dad's, and then I did my husband's. I'm really sick of that, but then I just got asked to do statement, or actually not statement, speak at one of my patients' service at Arlington. He was a former Secret Service agent. He died last year, and he had been Army, and I'm going to speak at Arlington on his behalf
Well, that's
next month. But going back to this, John's service after his eulogy, as I sat down, I told the guys in the back at the mortuary, go ahead and play Bocelli, The Prayer. And when you hear that beautiful voice by Celine, I pray that you be safe. I lost it. I mean, I was
Yep.
brave. I was, stoic. I was strong
But
for
that was
everybody.
music that did
Oh
it,
my
right?
God! There was not a dry eye. And as the songs mix and crescendo, I told the guys I kept doing this. Keep raising it. Raise the volume. I don't want a dry eye in that because that's the catharsis.
Yes.
The beautiful sounds. Those songs intertwine. John loved Bocelli. I did, but the words they said and the male-female voices mingling, and I call it the soundtrack of the soul. How does the soul speak? Through music. It's how it speaks.
I lost my brother when he was 17 and I was 19, and his favorite band was the Hollies. And every single time I hear a song, it's not even a tearjerker. It just there's words in
Yeah.
there that remind me of Mark.
Right.
And I could play it 100 times during the day, and I'll get a little glisten behind it. Marlene knows it every single time. Any of their songs come on, it does it. But there's one song.
Gets
that
you.
just
It just gets
that's
you.
Mark. And
Yeah.
that's how it is. So let me do a couple more, and then we'll cut her off and actually do the real work. So you got Bobby Helms on here,
Yeah.
my special angel.
Yeah.
Put a little rock in there. didn't
Yeah.
you? And did I get the right one for heaven? I got Los Lonely Boys. There's a million people that did it, or is it
How
somebody
far
else?
is heaven? It says heaven.
Yeah.
But it's how far is heaven?
Yeah.
It's got a great bass guitar.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and they're all. I think they're related. They have the same last name, the Los Lobos, Los Lonely Boys. Yes. How far is heaven?
And then we have here are my last two favorites. Again, they're not in her particular order, but she brings Dino back.
Oh yeah, my dad loved Dean Martin.
So you have an evening in Roma, and then finishes it off with Phil Collins, a day in paradise, another day in paradise. So it's a pretty darn eclectic.
Oh, Come Fly With Me, Bublé.
Yes,
Yes,
I've played it several times,
right.
just to listen and get a
Yeah.
flavor. And I thought, okay, that's her playlist. I thought, I don't know if I want to play this or not. Maybe I just put rock and roll on shuffle
Yeah.
if I did it,
Yeah.
and however it came out. And then I also was thinking, I said, just to put that together, I was so curious of why and how you did it. But I will take this, I'll completely Tourette on you and say,
Go
I'm not gonna
Tourette.
I'm not going to ask you to do the eulogy.
Oh,
in
no.
case I beat you. So you don't have to do that.
Oh, okay, good.
Not that it's a wonderful distinguished honor, but you would do it if you ask her.
Not doing your eulogy.
That's the kind of person. So Connie and I are going to put the playlist together because, you know, the musical gods will not allow us to play music on here, or otherwise
Sure.
I'd have it up here and be playing, but
We got it.
we're breaking all kinds of laws by doing that. So what we're going to do is peel out from here, and we're going to go over and do a podcast, put it together, and then Dave, the big voice, and Mike and everybody, and Keith and everybody will put it all together, and then we will do a podcast. You'll okay it first, make sure it's all right, and then one of the nights, either with mine, it's going to be yours, and that'll be it.
I'll share it on my show.
So
Yeah.
so we'll go ahead and do it. So thank you very much.
Oh,
for
my pleasure.
joining.
My honor.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we'll get working on the songs. And thanks everybody for listening. And we will, of course, have this out and replay it like anything else on YouTube and Facebook. Okay? All right. Thanks again.